Flashing lights. A routine traffic stop. Officers approach the driver's side, expecting just another encounter. But tonight, they're in for a shock. A black woman sits calmly in the driver's seat, hands resting on the wheel. The officer asks for her license and registration, his voice firm but professional. As she reaches for her ID, there's a moment of hesitation. Then, a realization sweeps across his face. This isn't just any driver. This is their new police chief. For a brief second, silence fills the air. The officers exchange uncertain glances. How did they not recognize her? More importantly, how will this moment define their relationship moving forward? This story isn't just about a traffic stop. It's about identity, power, and the unexpected moments that challenge our perceptions. Stay with us as we dive into what happened next and how this one night changed everything. The officer clears his throat, shifting slightly on his feet. His partner looks just as uneasy. The woman in the driver's seat stays calm, watching their reactions closely. She knows exactly what's happening. She's seen it before. But tonight, it's different. Tonight, she's the one being judged before a word is spoken. The officer finally speaks. "Ma'am, do you know why we pulled you over?" His tone is careful now, almost uncertain. She nods slightly, then hands over her ID. He glances down, and the moment he reads her name, his expression shifts. His grip on the flashlight tightens as he processes what he's just discovered. This woman, this driver, is Chief Daniels, the newly appointed head of their department, the very person they now answer to. A tense pause lingers between them. The air feels heavier. Chief Daniels doesn't say a word yet. She's waiting to see what happens next. The officer glances at his partner, as if searching for guidance, but neither of them knows how to handle this. A routine stop just turned into a career-defining moment. His fingers hover over her ID, hesitating, before finally handing it back. "Chief Daniels," he says, his voice measured but uneasy. She studies them, her expression unreadable. "Is there a problem, officers?" Her tone is calm, but there's weight behind her words. A test, perhaps. A challenge. The officer hesitates again. "You are going a little over the limit," he says, though his confidence is slipping. She knows the law inside and out. The silence stretches. The partner, who has barely spoken, clears his throat. "We didn't realize who you were." Chief Daniels leans back slightly, her gaze sharp. Would that have changed anything? Neither officer answers, and in that silence, the real conflict begins, one that goes far beyond a simple traffic stop. The night air feels thicker now, the quiet stretching too long. Chief Daniels doesn't look away, waiting for an answer. The officers shift uncomfortably. The one who spoke first clears his throat again, searching for the right words. "Of course not, Chief," he says, but there's something unconvincing in his voice. She tilts her head slightly. "Are you sure?" The question hangs between them, pressing down like an invisible weight. The officer clenches his jaw, but his partner speaks first. "We were just doing our job," he says quickly. "It had nothing to do with anything else." Chief Daniels studies them both. She's heard it all before, seen the same expressions on different faces. But now it's personal. Now she's the one sitting in the driver's seat. A radio crackles from their squad car, breaking the tension for just a second. The officers glance at each other, waiting for her next move. The radio crackles again, louder this time. One of the officers instinctively reaches for it, but he hesitates, his focus still locked on Chief Daniels. A voice comes through, dispatch calling for backup on an incident a few blocks away. The officers glance at each other, the tension thick between them. For a moment, it seems like an easy way out of the uncomfortable situation. Then, Chief Daniels speaks. "Go ahead. Answer it." Her voice is steady, but there's something in her tone that keeps them on edge. The officer grips the radio, responding with clipped words before turning back to her. "They need us at the scene," he says carefully, as if trying to shift the moment away. But she isn't done. She leans forward slightly, her eyes sharp. "Before you go, tell me this," she says. "If I hadn't been your chief, how would this have ended?" Neither of them speaks. The silence says everything. And then, just as they think they can escape the moment, she adds, "We'll talk about this first thing tomorrow." The officers freeze. The call for backup is urgent, but now, so is the conversation they never expected to have. The officers nod stiffly and rush back to their squad car, the urgency of the radio call pulling them away. As they drive off, Chief Daniels watches them go, her face unreadable. This moment isn't over, not even close. The next morning, the officers step into the precinct, their nerves on edge. They know she meant what she said. The weight of last night lingers, heavy and unshakable. Inside the briefing room, Chief Daniels stands at the front, waiting. The rest of the department sits in silence, sensing something serious. She starts without hesitation. "Last night, I was pulled over," she says, her voice steady. Murmurs ripple through the room, but she raises a hand, stopping them. The officers followed protocol, but here's the question. Would it have been different if I weren't your chief? The room falls silent. No one moves. Then she shifts her gaze directly to the two officers. "We need to talk about bias, not just in words, but in actions." The officers brace themselves, but just as they think they know where this is going, she surprises them. "Because what happened last night, it wasn't just about me. It was about all of us." The room is still, everyone hanging on her words. The real conversation is just beginning. The room stays silent for a long moment. Some officers shift in their seats, others look down, thinking. Chief Daniels lets the weight of her words settle before she speaks again. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. About doing better, not just when we know someone's watching, but always. The two officers from last night exchange a glance. They know she's right. The traffic stop wasn't about a broken law. It was about an unspoken bias, the kind that lingers in split-second decisions. And now there's no ignoring it. Chief Daniels scans the room, then finally says, "Change starts here, with us." Slowly, heads start nodding. No one argues. No one makes excuses. Because deep down, they all know, this moment wasn't just about a routine stop. It was a wake-up call. As the meeting ends, the officers step out, the weight still on their shoulders. But this time, something is different. A shift. A beginning.